Hey, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. Today, I wanted to talk about something that's been lately on my mind: wildlife photography, and why some of us might feel like giving up on it before even really getting started with it. I've always been very fascinated about wildlife photography, and I've spent countless hours watching channels of, say, Morten Hilmer, Jan Wagner, the Duod Patton, I think, yeah, the Wildlife Homestead, and many more. And sometimes even camera conspiracies. Whenever he does stuff related to wildlife, he does that quite often actually. For years, I've dreamed about getting into wildlife photography myself, but I had two major roadblocks. One obviously being the budget, and second being the thought of lugging around huge telephoto lenses. But that all changed when obviously I grew up and I started earning and I got introduced to the world of Micro Four Thirds, and that is where I picked up my first wildlife setup. That was the Panasonic G9 and the Olympus 100 to 400 for about 900 euros, which I think is an incredible deal actually for a decent wildlife setup. And now that I have had the setup and I've been doing wildlife photography for a while, I've had some thoughts and honestly some doubts. So today I'm sharing 5 reasons why you may quit wildlife photography, and more importantly, why I think you shouldn't let these stop you. I also want to stress on this that these are my personal experiences, so they might resonate with you or they might not. But I thought it was still important sharing these with you. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you think that I am overthinking this. Reason number 1, not enough wildlife around you. When I got the G9 and the Olympus as my first wildlife setup, after like 13 years of owning cameras and lenses, this was the first time that I could do proper wildlife photography. So I did everything right. I went around all the parks here in Berlin, and this was during the springtime, which I think has the most amount of wildlife activity. Like there are more birds and wildlife in general that you'll see. The first few days were incredible. I was learning about different bird species, getting excited about every new bird I spotted, but then it got old really fast. I kept seeing the same great tits and Eurasian blackbirds. I don't know why. I think the blackbird kind of follows me around. I see it everywhere. Sure, I'd spot the common swifts also, but have you ever tried photographing a swift? It's fucking impossible. They're so fast. Yeah, they've been named Swift for a reason. My poor G9 at least couldn't photograph it. But yeah, I digress. My excitement started to fade a bit, and I began to feel like I was photographing the same subject over and over without any exciting action. And I started thinking that Berlin in general doesn't have a lot of wildlife around, and I'll have to be content with the handful of species that I can find. Though I did get lucky and I've seen an owl first, which I think was very great this early in my wildlife journey. I also realized that I might be shooting at the wrong time because I am a lazy person. I can't get up early in the morning. I usually shoot at around noon. I realize might not be the best time to photograph birds. Here's the thing, there's always enough wildlife around you. The key is education. Learn about wildlife in your area, when different birds show up, what they eat, migration patterns, breeding seasons. I'll be honest, I am too lazy to put in the effort. I just want to grab my camera, go out and hope to get pictures of owls, deer, leopards and everything. But yeah, that's not how it works. There are also amazing apps like the eBird and the iNaturalist that can show you exactly what wildlife is in your area and when to find them. And don't forget about insects. They're wildlife too, and you can find plenty of them. Maybe I should also practice with the boring common wildlife. For example, pigeons, sparrows and ducks. I think we take them for granted. You can find them all around your cities. And yeah, that's also wildlife. And those blackbirds I see everywhere. Every shot is practice, and mastering the common subjects will make you better when you find a rare one. Reason 2, your gear is not good enough. This one hits close to home. I constantly think that my Micro Four Thirds setup is what's stopping me from getting great wildlife pictures. And I constantly find myself window shopping the Nikon 180 to 600 and think that if I had that lens paired with my Nikon Z6 III, I'd get amazing wildlife pictures. While better autofocus might help me get more shots in focus, but if I'm not putting in the effort to find wildlife, Whom am I going to photograph? How is that really going to improve my photography? My G9 already has decent animal and bird detect autofocus, and the Olympus 100-400 delivers serious image quality with like amazing reach. We're talking 800 millimeters in terms of full frame. If I think about it, that's all I need. That's more than what I can ask for. It's everything that I need for wildlife photography. Your gear is almost never the problem. People were capturing incredible wildlife photos long before all the modern tech and lightning fast autofocus systems we have today. Right now, I think we're in this amazing time where you can find very good used cameras and lenses at bargain prices and get started with your wildlife journey. We will always want the newest and shiniest thing. The grass is always greener on the other side. People who have a Nikon Z9 now, I'm sure will want the Z9 too. When the Z9 should be enough for like all kind of wildlife photography. For wildlife, all you need is a decent camera, a long lens, and most importantly, the will to put in the hours and passion to learn wildlife photography. I need to stop obsessing over gear and start focusing on actually improving my wildlife skills. Reason 3, it's boring. Okay, hear me out on this one. The reason I find wildlife photography boring is probably tied to me not being able to find exciting wildlife around me. I spend entire days dragging along my camera in the park, and yes, also dragging my wife along because I don't feel like going alone. For some people, this might be relaxing, but I guess I'm not in that stage of my life where I can sit for long hours waiting for some action to happen. I feel like I might burn out before even getting started. Maybe the problem is I'm going out for too long when I'm just starting out with wildlife photography. Instead of like full day expeditions, perhaps I should limit myself for like a couple of hours, preferably in the morning or during dusk. This I think would prevent the burnout feeling that I'm having, and also would give me time to do other kinds of stuff, like doing other kinds of photography like street photography, or just like spending time with the wife without a camera. Starting small and building up gradually makes much more sense than trying to do marathon wildlife sessions right from the beginning. Reason 4, you're too socially awkward to go alone. If you can't tell already, I'm a pretty socially awkward person. I'll do almost anything to avoid any kind of attention towards me. And carrying a big telephoto lens does exactly the opposite of that. This is actually the reason why I chose the Micro Four Thirds setup. But even this setup still makes people look at you. I mean, the Olympus 100-400 is still kind of large, and you can make your setup even more smaller. I think if I get the Panasonic 100-400, that's a little more compact and lighter, so you could be a little more discreet. But with wildlife, I mean, it's impossible for you to not get noticed. And that kind of puts me in some kind of discomfort whenever I'm going outside. So if you're like me and are also socially awkward, what you could do is find a friend, preferably who is also interested in wildlife photography or photography in general. And like me, if you don't have friends who are in photography, find yourself a wife. I managed to find a wife who is willing to come along with me in these adventures, though I'm still not sure how I got lucky in that regards. Another solution can be go out early in the morning when there are not a lot of people around. You'll avoid the crowds, you will get better lighting and probably more wildlife action as well. Reason 5, you'll never be good enough. This is a big one. I consume a lot of content on YouTube, and naturally I started watching a lot of wildlife photography channels. Then when I go out to do photography myself, I obviously wasn't getting the same quality of shots that I was seeing online. This started making me feel that I'll never be as good as these photographers, and that's kind of overwhelming, right? Then this feeling ties back to the gear issue. Maybe if I upgrade my gear, if I get like the latest and greatest, maybe I'll get good pictures like those. But again, as I've explained, gear is not really the solution. This overwhelming feeling made me question whether wildlife photography was really for me. The best way to combat this feeling, I think, is to just stop consuming content and focus on creating instead. Go out and photograph pigeons, insects, sparrows, or ducks, or whatever you can find. Share your photos to get feedback, and don't take criticism too seriously. Remember, for most of us, this is supposed to be fun and not work. Don't stress about the results and make the process work for you. Keep photography enjoyable. The photographer you're comparing yourself to have been doing this for years, have access to incredible locations, and often have the luxury of waiting days or weeks for the perfect shot. You're just starting out, so just be patient with yourself. So those are my 5 reasons why I'm thinking about quitting wildlife photography just when I started it. But does that mean I'm actually going to quit it? Absolutely not. What I'll probably do is reduce the frequency of wildlife photography so that I can enjoy other genres of photography as well. Photography is my hobby, all kinds of it. Wildlife, street, and maybe landscape also someday. Although I'm not sure about that one. If you're also having similar thoughts, please don't give up on wildlife photography. It can be incredibly fun and rewarding if you approach it the right way. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. And if you found this helpful, or if you agree with any of these points, please give it a thumbs up. Or if you have any suggestions on how I can increase my enjoyment in wildlife photography, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you're not subscribed yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button for more photography related content. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.